LaMelo Ball recently wrapped up his third NBA season, and he hasn't even set foot in a playoff game. He struggled with injuries, and his team, the Charlotte Hornets, is caught in a whirlwind of organizational chaos, leaving many so-called NBA experts wondering, is the 21-year-old superstar at risk of throwing away his promising NBA career if he stays with the team? So in today's video, we're diving deep into LaMelo's contract situation, uncovering the main man behind the Hornets' disastrous management decisions, and revealing why the young star might be trapped in Charlotte for another 6 to 7 years. Melo burst onto the NBA scene with high expectations and a flashy style of play that caught the attention of everyone. As the third overall pick in the 2020 draft, many believed Melo had the potential to become a superstar and lead the Charlotte Hornets to the promised land. The superstar thing has without a shadow of a doubt come to fruition, and he's already one of the most famous players and best point guards in the league. But the promised land part, that's a whole nother story. Melo's first season with the Charlotte Hornets was impressive, earning him the NBA Rookie of the Year award. He averaged 16 points, 6 assists, and 6 rebounds per game, while shooting 44% from the field and 35% from beyond the arc. Ball's flashy style of play, highlighted by his impressive court vision and playmaking abilities, drew comparisons to NBA legends like Magic Johnson and Jason Kidd. In addition to Ball's individual success, the Charlotte Hornets also experienced some success. They finished the season with the 33-39 record, which was good enough for the 10th seed in the Eastern Conference and a spot in the play-in tournament. Although they ultimately lost to the Pacers, the Hornets showed promise as a young team on the rise. Especially Melo's ability to make his teammates better was notable, and he formed a strong bond with Miles Bridges, whose highlight reel alley-oops and fast break plays almost became a trademark for the team. Melo's career took off in his second season as he began to reach new heights in his NBA career. Melo played in 75 of the 82 games and even made the All-Star team. He averaged 20 points, 7 rebounds, and 7 assists per game while shooting 43% from the field and a strong 39% from three-point range. The Hornets even improved to a 43-39 record, but were eventually eliminated in the play-in tournament once again. Melo made a change ahead of the 2022-23 NBA season, switching his jersey number from 2 to his favorite number 1, and was ready to leave a serious mark on the league. But unfortunately, he sustained an ankle injury in a preseason game, which kept him out until mid-November. However, the skilled point guard came back as he never left, and started balling out on a Hornets team that was in serious trouble, ranking last in the Eastern Conference. Unfortunately, as the story often goes with Melo, he suffered a right ankle injury in a game on February 27th, which eventually ruled him out for the remainder of the season. During his 36 games, he averaged just north of 23 points and 8 assists per game, both career highs. Melo underwent successful surgery in the beginning of March and will be ready to get back in time for next season. But back to why you clicked on this video. How is LaMelo Ball throwing away his NBA career? Well, let me explain. Many would label Melo a generational point guard talent, and those don't come around very often. But what if he is forced to stay on the Hornets team that won't be able to compete for the next decade? It all starts with the GOAT himself, Michael Jordan. Despite being regarded as the greatest athlete of all time, Michael Jordan's ownership of the Charlotte Hornets has been a colossal failure, and this may actually end up ruining Melo's NBA career. MJ's mismanagement of the team has led to disastrous outcomes. For instance, last year, Miles Bridges, one of their best players and the team's leading scorer, was arrested for allegedly assaulting his wife in front of their 2 children. This is, of course, a tragic situation on so many levels, but it ultimately resulted in them losing a key player without even replacing him. And their coaching situation has also been a mess. MJ seemingly out of the blue fired coach James Borrego, who actually had a winning record last season, but their coaching search was a disaster and they eventually rehired Steve Clifford, who was fired after the 2017-18 season, and as a result, the Hornets are currently one of the worst teams in the league. But Melo's situation is complicated because of the way the NBA's contract system works. After being drafted, a player signs a contract for a set number of years with their team, and the only way out of the contract is if you are drafted, which, let's face it, is not gonna happen. Furthermore, only the team that drafts a player has the ability to offer them a max contract when their rookie contract expires. This is a contract that pays the player the maximum amount of money allowed under the NBA's salary cap rules. Since the Hornets drafted Melo, only they have the authority to offer him a maximum contract. This means that if Melo wants to stay with the team and earn the most money possible, actually $85 million more than any other team could offer, he'll have to sign the max and stay with Charlotte for at least the first 7 seasons of his career. But with the Hornets being an extremely mismanaged team, if Melo remains with them, he may not have the opportunity to reach his full potential as a player and lose valuable time in regards to his development. The only way for LaMelo to escape this situation is if he chooses not to sign the max and instead hits free agency after next season. However, this is very unlikely to happen, as not one player in NBA history has declined such a contract. Also, we have to keep in mind that Melo is already very prone to injuries, and it has to be questioned whether another team is willing to give him the kind of money he thinks he deserves. Also, the max represents a huge sense of stability and security for the players because you never know what could happen in the future in terms of serious injuries or other difficult situations. You sign the max contract, and you and your family are set for generations. However, the responsibility for improving the Hornets situation falls on MJ, who so far has failed every season. Since taking over in 2010, the team has only made the playoffs twice and has never made it out of the first round. MJ's poor decisions include giving out massive contracts to players who underperformed and making poor draft choices. And it's not like this is just something that started happening once he became the Hornets owner. Who can forget the horrendous Kwame Brown situation when he was a part owner and president of basketball operations for the Washington Wizards? And it wasn't like that was the only mistake he made with the Wizards either. As great a player as he was, MJ has a clear pattern of messing things up from the owner's chair. But there might be light at the end of the tunnel, and the guy flashing the light is named Victor Wembanyama. The French Wonder Kid is the biggest draft prospect since ever, and the Hornets have a possibility of acquiring the alien in the upcoming NBA draft. Let me explain how. Since the Hornets finished 13th in the Eastern Conference, they are one of 14 teams that are included in the NBA draft lottery. This is a process used to determine the order in which the teams that did not make the playoffs will select their players in the upcoming NBA draft. The NBA draft lottery is usually held in May before the draft, and it involves a random drawing of ping pong balls numbered from 1 to 14. Each team is assigned a certain number of ping pong balls based on their regular season record. The team with the worst record is assigned the most ping pong balls, while the team with the best record is assigned the least. And since the Hornets were one of the worst teams in the NBA this season, they will be assigned a whole lot of those balls. The more balls you get, the higher your chances of having the 4-ball combination drawn from the bowl. And that is how you get the first overall pick. But there's actually a very little chance of you getting the first overall pick even if you are one of the 3 worst teams, with only a 14% probability. And with Charlotte being the 4th worst team, they have a 12.5% chance of getting Wembanyama. This is because of the rule that was implemented in 2019 to avoid tanking. However, that's probably the best chance the Hornets will ever get to turn their franchise around. And if they're lucky enough to get the first overall pick, it could turn everything around for the Hornets. Combine Wembanyama with Melo, and you have a duo that will compete with anyone for the next decade to come. And hopefully, even someone Michael Jordan can build a team around. If he doesn't manage to sell his majority stake in the franchise before that time, what a mess. However, a player who's managed to get out of a messy situation is the Lakers point guard, Dennis Schroeder. After being bounced around between 3 different teams in just 2 years, he is now in his 2nd stint with the Lakers and has become an important asset to the team. He's fighting for his last shot at a long-term NBA contract, and hopefully, he'll link that deal in LA. I've made a video about the whole situation, Dennis's career, and his inspiring journey to the NBA. Check it out.